This is my 1998 Range Rover 2.5 DSE that sadly was left abandoned here in Ireland for over 5 years. But now I'm bringing it back to its former glory, one video at a time. Known to be a troublesome machine even when well maintained, this is definitely going to challenge all of my mechanical and electrical fault finding skills to the max. My P38 project is looking decidedly sorry for itself again. It's gone a bit green at the front there. And that's because it's been sat around in the terrible weather we've been having in Ireland over the whole course of the summer. We have actually made some pretty good progress on this thing over the course of the videos that you guys have been watching, but there's been a bit of a gap and I haven't really got any excuses apart from the fact the weather's been so bad here. So the P38's been sat here waiting patiently for me to start working on the braking system, which is really one of the only things remaining that's stopping me from taking it down the road and getting it tested. Now, I knew all along that the P38 would need new discs and pads all around because it has been sat for quite a long time. But what I didn't realise initially is that all the brake lines going from the front to the back are pretty much rusted through and they all need replacing. So that's what I'm going to start working on in this video. We're going to get the P38 lifted up in the air as much as we can, and then I'm going to head underneath and take a look at those brake lines in detail. So let's make a start. However, that was where I ran into a little bit of a problem last weekend and the P38 decided to stage a protest by not starting. That's right, because the P38 felt a little bit neglected, having not been touched in a few months, it decided to flatten its battery completely and also enter itself into key code lockout, or EKA lockout. Those P38 owners out there will be fairly familiar with that EKA lockout code. It's a 4-digit code that you have to enter by switching the key backwards and forwards in the driver's door lock in order to basically unimmobilize the car. However, if like me, you don't have the code, it's been lost over the eons of time and not been written down anywhere sensible in the vehicle, you could be a little bit stuck. So to rectify the situation and to get the P38 running again, the first thing I did was go down to my local Halfords and pick up this, which is a nice big UEFA battery. And I also set about trying to find out what the P38's EKA code is. Now theoretically, all you should have to do is go into your local Land Rover main dealership, give them your VIN number, give them your proof of ownership, and then they should be able to pull up your EKA code for your car from their systems. However, as I found out though, most Land Rover service desk technicians are now younger than the actual P38 cars themselves, and when you start mentioning P38 Range Rovers to them, they start looking at you like you've got two heads. So after that somewhat fruitless first attempt of my local Land Rover dealership, I reached out to a guy called Ian McKee, who's known in the Range Rover circles as being a bit of a P38 Yoda. Now Ian has ways and means, but one of the things he can do is if you give him your VIN number, he's able to give you your EKA code for your Range Rover. So that's what I did, gave him the full VIN number off the front of the Range Rover here, and he sent me back a 4-digit code within about 12 hours. And Ian runs a specialist garage up there in Scotland, which is pretty much the best place to take your P38 in the UK. And he offers lots of specialist services for the P38 that you're not going to be able to get done pretty much anywhere else these days. Things like removing the immobiliser from the ECM or adding new keys to your BCM. Very specialised stuff that you're not going to be able to do with an Anacom or any other kind of diagnostic tool that you might own. But anyway, so we now have the EKA code for the P38, which is very, very good. So thanks very much to Ian for that. If it hadn't been for him, I'd probably still be at the Land Rover service desk right now trying to desperately explain what a P38 Range Rover is. First though, we need to get this old battery ripped out and the new one put in. So I don't know if you guys will be able to see this on the camera, but the dash is currently saying key code lockout now that the battery is reconnected, which is the EKA lockout that I'm talking about. So at the moment, the key, the fob, isn't responding. It's not locking or unlocking on the fob. And opening the door seems to set the alarm off straight away. So that's the situation we're in. I think what I've got to do now is wait 30 minutes for that key code lockout to disappear off the dash. And then, and only then, we can start trying to enter it. Right, so I've left the Rangie for 30 minutes now, and as far as I can see, that message that said key code lockout has now left the dashboard, it's now clear. So let's see if it will let me in first of all without setting off the alarm. Oh shit, that'll be a no then. So eventually, after more than a couple 30-minute cooldown periods and trying to outwit the belligerent alarm system, I managed to enter the EKA code using the nanocom and I got the P38 deimmobilised. This is all just standard P38 stuff really, and you really have to love them to put up with these little idiosyncrasies. So I'm going to pop the old selector here across into low range. That should make it a little bit easier for it to, again, saying low on the dashboard. It should make it a little bit easier for it to clamber up without causing any jerkiness. So here we go. Like somewhere near. Oh, we've got no brakes. Forgot about that. Right, into park, handbrake on. But first, I just want to show you the AutoDoc app really quickly, which is extremely useful for finding the right bits for your particular car. Once you pop your registration number in here, it'll only show you parts and accessories that fit your specific car. So for example, let's head into the service section here for the Rangie, and here we go, a massive selection of different manufacturers to choose from, all at really great prices too. On top of the great prices, you can also use my discount code SAM, which will get you 5% off. You can also find all of this on their website as well. For the UK, Ireland and the rest of Europe have their own dedicated pages, and AutoDoc is one of those sponsors that for me is really easy to recommend, as I've genuinely been impressed by them every time I've used their service over the last few years, even before I had this sponsorship agreement with them. Anyway, like I said, really happy to continue working with AutoDoc, and don't forget to check out the app via the link below and use the 5% discount code SAM. Right, back to the Rangie. Underneath this thing, might need a bit more cardboard to go down this way, but let's have a look what we got here first. So, underneath the P38, we've got our BMW M51 at the front there with the ZF let's try that again, the ZF HP4 behind it, 4 HP. And then we've got our Borg Warner transfer box behind that with the prop shaft going to the rear axle. There's our fuel tank and the silencer, which we're going to be replacing very soon. Here's our air tank. Chassis rails looking really good. As I said before, the P38 is one of the most amazing Land Rovers when it comes to longevity in terms of rust. They really seem to last compared to a lot of other Land Rover products. You can still see here there's still original stickers, and in places there's quite a lot of original paint left on it, which is pretty unheard of for Land Rover products. Even the sills all the way along the inside here and underneath are in pretty much perfect condition all the way back, which is amazing for a car that's lived outside in Ireland its whole life. You guys can see, surface rust here really, but that is literally just surface rust. There's nothing serious on it at all. It's literally like new. Just the very beginnings of surface rust down here on the sills as well, but yeah, overall really, really solid, and it's one of the reasons why I decided to pick this car up. So as you guys can see, this is our 2 brake lines running to the back, and you can see already at this point here they're looking pretty crusty, so all of this will want to be replaced with the new Cooper nickel pipe that I've got. Back here they seem to be protected by this kind of rubber coating, so I'm not sure whether that will have actually protected them or whether they'll just have rusted away inside the coating. We might have to strip some of that back just to check. You can see them again there, that's just the coating again, so you can't really see. I can just feel a little bit of corrosion along the top of this one here, so it might be an idea to get this tank out of the way so we can have a proper look. Okay, that broke. I mean, that's not the end of the world. That one actually came out. Amazing. Well, that's down. You can see now that gives us much better access to these pipes here, which are looking decidedly healthier up this end. Just a slight couple of bubbles in a couple of places, but I'm pretty sure if we cut around here, this will be a good place to join on and start our new Cooper nickel pipes going backwards, because even as far forward as here, it's already looking a little bit too crusty to be using safely. And you can see there's a definite, and you can see here there's a definite leak already at that point there. So yeah, definitely want to be replacing that bit. Let's get this out of the way. So as you guys would have seen, I've taken the wheel off now, so it's not actually using the ramp, so I can come out of the way for now. I decided instead to put the axle stands under the rear axle because the actual point where the brake lines are leaking is in this area of the wheel well, so we're definitely going to need to access it with the wheel off. So I think we're also going to need to get these arch liners out, probably both sides, just so we can have a look at all the brake lines. So see if we can get a few of these clips out. She comes. Wow, look at that underseal or body coating, whatever you'd call it. Literally looks like new. Same cannot be said for the L322 over there. That's already had to be redone by myself. Didn't look anything like as good as that. That literally looks like new, apart from all the spider webs. And here's yet another example of the P38's superiority when it comes to rust prevention. The arches on my 2011 L322 were in terrible shape compared with this now 25-year-old P38. Amazing. So it's still quite hard to see even with the liner taken away, but you can see all this moisture on the chassis here, and the actual main leak is coming from right inside this. You can just about see that very crusty looking pipe just there, where the tip of my finger is. That's where the actual main leak is, where it's really rusted away. But obviously all the way along here, this pipe isn't looking too clever. Now I can't say the pipes I'm going to be hand bending are going to be an exact replica of what we've got on here already. It's pretty much impossible to do that with hand bending, but we're going to get it as close as possible, and hopefully it's going to work at the end of the day. Yeah, some of these bends are going to be pretty hard to replicate, so we'll do our best and see how they turn out. So as you guys can see, the pipes come down from here through a flexi just there. And then for the right hand side, it drops down into this flexi here, then runs into the caliper. But for the left hand side, it actually runs up here on top of the chassis rail. It actually runs above the chassis there, all the way across to the other side. So underneath the P38 here, the top of the air springs and the suspension are actually sitting in kind of a cross member across the rear of the chassis here. So the brake pipe actually runs above the top of that. So pretty much impossible to actually access it. So my approach is going to be, we're just going to start at the caliper end, and we're going to start stripping off the flexible brake line, which I've got to replace here, nice brand new one from all makes. And then we're just going to work our way back up the line basically. So we're going to start with this flexi, and then then the flexi goes into this short hard line which goes up behind the chassis rail. And then I don't know if you guys can see, there's basically a bulkhead in line with the chassis on the other side. At which point it goes into another flexi just there, and then this flexi joins onto the main hard line that comes back from the front of the car. So quite a complex system, and we're going to hopefully replace all of this. These calipers are extremely crusty looking, so I've got rebuild kits for these in the back of the car. We've got all the new pistons and piston seals, etc., but these may, looking at them, may be a bit far gone, especially if we can't get these bleed nipples out. But we'll give it a go. If not, they're not too expensive to replace, so oh, that came undone more easily than expected, considering the state of it. It's coming. There we go. Nice. See if this bleed nipple is going to shift at all. Oh, no way. No freaking way. Well, I'm really surprised that came off as easily as it did, guys. Really surprised. So this is the end of that crossover pipe that comes across from the other side and runs down here into the left brake. It's pretty well rusted through at the other end, which is the main cause of our big leak. So I'm going to see if I can actually just get it to come through this way. There we go. I'm going to drag it through. And there we go. That's the pipe that's been causing our leak. And this is the bit that's extremely rusted, as you guys can see. That's completely gone. I can just, break it off with my fingers. Completely gone. So that's the problem. So our new pipe's going to have to be threaded through from that side. Nice bit of brake fluid in here. So under here somewhere is where we're going to make our cut to join our new pipes onto. I want to pick a piece of pipe that's nice and clean. So here on this one's looking quite good. There we go. So it took a while, but we've got a nice clean cut there, which we can hopefully press into the right shape with our brake pipe flaring tool. So happy days. Now that that's cut, I'm going to try and pull this pipe out of position. It should be loose at the far end already. It's got a few clips along the way holding it in place. Just dropping all kinds of horrible crap on me. I'm going to try and pull it out as much as I can in the shape it's currently in, because that will give it a really nice shape to work from when we're bending up our new pipe. Really bad shape, as you guys can see, just absolutely rusted to oblivion. This may have been actually what took it off the road originally, back in 2015, whenever it was. Oh, that's horrible. So with all the crusty old pipe removed, it was time to cue the music and get bending. on a lovely new little fitting. Ready to go into the Flexi. And that is where I'm going to split this episode, and in the next one we're going to be sorting out the discs, the calipers, the exhaust, and getting the P38 one step closer to ruling the road again. So thanks again to AutoDoc for sponsoring this episode, and we'll see you again next time on Sam's Motor and Machine. Cheers!